Hi friends. As you know, we're doing a series of videos on tiny little books that are just perfect for our youngest readers. Easy entry, early entry books, books that usually have a lot of illustration and kind of big font, and they are 100 pages or less, sometimes 120 pages or less. Some of the books we love, some we don't love, but today I get to tell you about one that's just wonderful, and I'm so sad that it's so hard to find. I mean, you can find it for under $10 on eBay, but it's not commonly available just everywhere. It is The Snowball Fight in the White House by Louise Littleton Davis. It is a true story, and it is about a girl named Mary Donelson, who's 6 years old in 1835. Mary Donelson's dad was the nephew of President Andrew Jackson's wife, deceased wife. When the president moved into the White House, his wife had died before he took occupancy of the White House, and so what he did was he retained his wife's nephew as his personal secretary, kind of his chief of staff. And so Mr. Donelson and his wife moved into the White House with President Jackson, and they had a bunch of kids. And President Jackson himself had been an orphan and had a sad, hard childhood. And so he loved having young people around him, and he filled up the White House with children and activities for children as sort of his thing to do. This beautiful story is the last Christmas of his presidency. And what he does that day is on Christmas Day, he treats the Donelson children and their cousins who live in the White House and the children of his political friends, his cabinet members, other people in Washington, D.C., treats all of those children to a Christmas frolic in the East Room. So they have games, and they have a banquet, and they have a snowball fight where the snowballs are made out of like a paper mache material, and they're filled with candy. And so as the kids will throw the snowballs at each other, they'll break open and there'll be candy everywhere. This book is absolutely a joy. It is based on a true story written by Mary Donelson herself. So this historian, Louise Davis, discovered this story and wanted to turn it into a children's book. And so she quoted the original authoress, Mary Donelson, very heavily as best as she could, as often as possible. And just gives us this story about the people who occupied the White House, the traditions and rituals that existed at that time, and kind of a who's who of Washington, D.C. at that time. It's delightful. It's perfect for children, and it would be just great if you're doing a study on the White House, or if you're doing a study on Andrew Jackson, or anything kind of like that. So, Snowball Fight in the White House by Louise Littleton Davis. 2 thumbs up. Happy reading, friends.